everybody, and welcome back. Bah. Hey everybody, and today we're talking about Invincible Universe, Compendium 1. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're talking more Invincible. Yes, this is Invincible Universe, Compendium number 1. So, what is in here? Well, you've got 5 issues, basically, of Adam, Eve, and Splode. You got her first 2-issue miniseries, and then another 3 issues of their combo miniseries, which was, so Adam, Eve 1 and 2, Adam, Eve, and Splode 1 through 3. And then you have basically 24 issues of Guarding the Globe. That's Guarding the Globe 1 through 6, Volume 1, Volume 2, 1 through 6, that's 12 right there. And then 12 issues of what's called Invincible Universe 1 through 12, which is basically more Guardians of the Globe. It's not a good or a bad thing, it's 24 issues of that. So 30 issues or something like that in a trade paperback for $40, that's not too bad. This is the same paper quality that's been on all of the Invincible compendiums, which is pretty much all I've read in the last 3 weeks. So you've seen overviews on the channel, but the only reviews you've gotten are these Invincible books. So this is the last one that I have. I don't know if there's going to be a Compendium 2. I've been looking online to be like, why would you call it Compendium 1 and put a Volume 1 on the side when there's not clearly like a Compendium 2? Like as far as the tie-ins go, like this gives the origin for Adam, Eve, and Splode, and then Guardian the Globe has all of that team stuff in there, but it doesn't have Brit, it doesn't have Astonishing Wolfman, all the other Invincible side characters, Capes, you know, like I wonder if they would do that, but there's 25 issues of Astonishing Wolfman, which could be its own compendium. Brit has a bunch of one-shots, so there might be like 12 to 15 issues of that. And then, gosh, I don't even know what else is left. Capes is 3 issues. So I'm not quite sure what they would put in a Volume 2. And if they did, like, are they trying to keep it the same size? Because I feel like you could put some Brit stuff in here that would have made it a little bit fatter to equal the Invincible compendiums, how large those are right behind me here. They're pretty thick. They're like 50 issues each. So anyway, is this worth getting if you like Invincible? If you love Invincible, yes. If you like Invincible, I kind of don't really think so. That's not to say I had a bad time reading it. I think the issue is Robert Kirkman isn't doing all the writing in here. Phil Hester is doing a lot of the writing. Benito Sereno writes the Adam, Eve, and the Splode stuff, and Robert Kirkman kind of only writes, he writes Guarding the Globe, Volume 1, 1 through 6. And then you have Phil Hester doing Volume 2, and then Invincible Universe Volume 1 through 12, or number 1 through 12. So not a lot of Robert Kirkman. It still has a lot of Robert Kirkman feel, so that's good. It feels like it meshes in well with the rest of the universe. So that's a plus. But it just seems there's no, like, you know, Mark Grayson's not in this at all. Adam, Eve, and Splode aren't really in this except for their first 5-issue miniseries, or you know, those 2 miniseries where it spotlights them, that kind of thing. The art in here is pretty good. You have Todd Knock doing most of the heavy lifting for Guarding the Globe, Volume 2, and then Invincible Universe, Volume 1 through number 1 through 12. So that's pretty phenomenal artwork there. He's a pro. The guy doing, you know, I don't really have complaints about the artwork, honestly. I feel like it felt like Carlos De Anda was doing the Adam, Eve 1 through 12, but it's not. That is, oh gosh, someone else. Nate Belagarde, who does the Adam, Eve, and the Splode stuff. I liked his stuff. I thought it was pretty interesting. Felt like Carlos De Anda. And then you have Ransom Getty doing the Guarding the Globe Volume 1 miniseries, and Chris Anka doing like an issue in here. But most of it in the back is Todd Knock. So if you've read Young Justice, you know what he's all about. But honestly, he fits in pretty well with the Ryan Ottley style. I mean, all these guys fit in pretty well with the Ryan Ottley style. The Adam, Eve, and Splode stuff fits in with like the early Ottley before he was like really found himself. The Ransom Getty stuff is like a super detailed, almost like kind of like Paco Medina, Ryan Ottley style, but it's a little bit like if you turned up Ryan Ottley into more of the Jim Lee vein as opposed to like the cartoonist vein. And then Todd Knock, it's Todd Knock. Like, he's a phenomenal artist, and he fits where Ryan kind of lands in terms of the Invincible universe around issue 100. So it's really interesting to see what artists they picked to pair with, like, what was going on when these came out. I'm assuming this is like release order. So that's the other thing I'm kind of confused about. If they do a Compendium 2, like, what in release order are you going to put in here? Because there's a bunch of other stuff coming out around the same time. So new characters. So yeah, you get Adam, Eve, and Rex Splode here in the first 5 issues collected. And then you're back into the Guardians of the Globe. So you get Brit, Bulletproof. You get, I wanted to say Dingo Man, but this guy was called something else. It wasn't Barracuda. Gosh, what's his name? He's like a major, a little bit of a major character before the first like miniseries ended, and then he kind of steps to the sideline to where you have Brit, Kid Thor, and Chupacabra had the most interesting storyline. Best Tiger, I like this guy a lot. He's like a Chinese superhero who can just do things. He's like a Chinese John Wick, basically. Doesn't have any real superpowers. He's just awesome at shooting things and can like figure out the angles. Like, if anything, he's got a super brain where he can figure out angles and make stuff bounce off one thing and kill a bunch of people, that kind of thing. So that was kind of cool. So reading the Invincible books, there were things there that they referenced happened in Guarding the Globe that I was like, oh, I can't wait to read that. Like the destruction of Paris, that happens at the end of volume 1. And I was reading it and I was kind of like, this really doesn't need to, like, you don't really need to read this in order to follow Invincible. So if that's my one critique, is if you're a huge Invincible fan, you're going to like this stuff because you like the world. I liked it. I like the world. If you just thought it was okay, or you're just kind of curious a little bit, like, it's not a necessary pickup. This adds to the color of the world. It doesn't add anything to Mark's story, mainly because Mark's not in here. You have Bulletproof running around when he's playing as Invincible, that kind of stuff. But it really doesn't cross over into like the 3rd Compendium territory. This really happens in like Compendium 2, I would think. Like Compendium 1 a little bit, and then Compendium 2, and it kind of stops there. So when Mark leaves Earth for like the 2nd or 3rd time. So yeah, Invincible Universe was like Guarding the Globe 1 and 2 are full stories. Like issue 1 through 6 is one arc. Volume 2, issue 1 through 6 is a second arc. But when you get to Invincible Universe, it's kind of like a little bit of one-offs from the beginning. Like, they kind of connect, but they kind of don't. And then at the same time, there's some one-off stories, and then towards the end, there's like a 2-parter and then a 3-parter, and that kind of wraps up the series. So it's not like there's a huge arc in terms of Guardians of the Globe. For those characters, it's just a little bit here and there. And I think that's kind of fun because Invincible is kind of like, when you read it all at once, it's one long arc with these little individual things, whereas this feels like it has some real breaks in between. So that is nice. So yeah, I think you can pick this up and read a little bit here or there and put it down, go read something else, come back to it, pick it up again, read something, go back to something else. Even if you wanted a break from reading Invincible, you could read this here, but it might not make sense until towards the end of Volume 1, beginning of Volume 2, when they introduce this new Guardians of the Globe team. And basically when Robot and Monster Girl come back, is kind of when all this other stuff takes place, because he's kind of a bigger player on the team. But every character gets a little spotlight, and that's kind of fun. You get to know a little bit of people. The fast girl, you get to know this French bulldog. You don't really get to know Immortal or anything like that, but it's all the newer characters that they introduced there. You get to know a little bit, even though there's not an explicit origin for each of them. And again, it's a superhero universe. Like, what do you need to know? They're superheroes. Here's their powers. Here's their personality. Bob's your uncle. There you go. So yeah, I liked it. It's not a necessary read, but I liked it enough to say, you know what? This is pretty cool. So yeah, if you're in love with Invincible, check this out for $40. It won't do you wrong. I think you'll enjoy it, but if you're so-so on it, then it's definitely skippable. Like, it's not necessary to get the whole story of Invincible. Like, Invincible's whole story, Mark's whole story is contained in those 3 compendiums, and you could stop right there after that awesome ending. So there you have it, my thoughts on Invincible Universe Compendium 1. Let me know down below what you guys thought of this book, and I'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.